Mic check 1 2. What it do? Welcome back to the Mic Check podcast. This is T Word, the People's Champ. Today we're talking about the New Orleans Saints and their upcoming Thursday night football matchup with the Jacksonville Jaguars in the Superdome in New Orleans. Before we get into the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and then when the video's over, go ahead and drop a comment. Check out some more content on the channel. You feel me? All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Saints and Jags in the Superdome Thursday night football. You get to put your team on display in front of the biggest stage. Everybody's watching. If you're a fantasy football player, don't forget to set your lineups today. Make those last minute moves so your roster is intact before these two teams go toe to toe. So before we get into this matchup, I want to talk about where the Saints are. Obviously, this video is going to be Saints centric because I'm a Saints fan, but I will give a little bit of analysis on how I think the game might play out. The Saints are coming off of two polarizing games. 2 weeks ago, they beat the New England Patriots on their home turf 34-0. And then they turn around and lose to the Houston Texans in Houston 20-13. And it was like night and day. I mean, defensively, the Saints did what they need to do, but offensively, they went back to what we saw in the first 2 weeks of the season. We're relying on field goals and special teams plays to make things happen, when in fact, we really need the offense to get out of the mud, and it's just not there. Sometimes I sit and I'm wondering, I'm like, did we really need to spend all this money to get the same performance we were getting from Jameis Winston? And in fact, it was 5-2 when we had a healthy Jameis with a really good defense and the offense that was relying on big plays. There's a point in the game where the Saints just needed to move the ball down the field, and instead they took deep shots and wasted first and second down, and then couldn't convert on third and fourth to finish the game. They had an opportunity to win. The defense stiffened. In the second half, they only gave up 3 points. You know, 17-7 going in the half. We get 6 points of offensive production. We miss field goals. You know, there's miscues all over the place. Penalties are killing this team again. And it's like they just can't get right. So you go into a game with a not surprisingly good Jacksonville team. This is a team that was homegrown. It's built the right way. They've taken some years to get where they are, and they've been very productive offensively and very good defensively, and they've won some tough games. And I believe coming in battle tested, even on the road in front of a ruckus primetime crowd, I still think that team is going to be very prepared to play the Saints and give them their best. Now, what I found though is that the teams that the Saints are expected to beat, they play down to that competition, and then the teams that they are expected to maybe lose to, they actually play much better. I'm not sure exactly where Jacksonville falls on the scale right now, because I don't know if the Saints recognize how good that team is yet. So they might not play up to potential. They might think they need to play down, when Jacksonville right now appears to be a better team. And obviously there's factors to play in like strength of schedule, etc. But that don't even matter. Put that aside. This is a team that's going to come in. They got a really good quarterback. They figured out how to incorporate the run game. Their receivers are productive. Their defense gets the job done. And overall, they're very a smart football team and a disciplined football team from what I've seen of them. And they're battle tested, something I spoke about in the previous video. They figured out how to win tough games. The Saints just don't have that yet. I mean, they've figured out how to win low scoring games. But then when you kind of flip that, it's like, they floundered against like the Packers, and it's like for some reason the young QBs just give them trouble. And I don't know exactly if Trevor Lawrence fits in that mold, but he's a damn good quarterback. He could get it done. He's got national championship pedigree. You know, this is a top pick in the draft type of player. And when you put your team out there against somebody like that, it's like the Saints just can't figure it out. Even though the defense did well against the two younger QBs they faced, it's not there all the way. And then there's lulls in the offensive side of the ball that just make it hard for the defense to sustain high level play throughout the game, where you're getting 3 and outs and the offense ain't even getting 3 points. You know, if you're at least getting field goal, think about the Breeze era. Sometimes when the defense was decent, what would happen is the defense would get a 3 and out, or they might come up with a turnover and they get Breeze and the offense the ball back. And then they go down there and they just get 3, but they put something on the scoreboard. The other teams come back, maybe they get 7, or maybe they get another 3 or 4 now, or they sustain the drive and end up punting at the 50. Okay, the defense did their job. Drew Brees comes out there, they get 3 or 7, but they're getting something. This team doesn't have that. They're squandering many offensive opportunities. And it worries me when you go into a game with a team like Jacksonville that seems to be consistent and steady, and they're going to make the most of their opportunities. So they're going to get that 3 when they need to get it. They're going to sustain a drive that chews up clock and then come back the next drive and get another 3, another 7. And they're going to start to stretch a lead on you that becomes insurmountable when you don't have an offensive identity, something that's plaguing the Saints right now. First 3 weeks, you can say, hey, no Alvin Kamara. It sucks. Okay, but he's been back for a minute now. Now what's the excuse? We just can't get this shit together, and it's a little bit frustrating as a fan. So I'm a little bit concerned with how that's going to play out when you see a Jags team that seems to be consistent and solid. They're not a great team, but they're a good football team, and I think that could be problematic for the Saints on Thursday night. Now I'll be back with another video where I get into the nuts and bolts and, how can the Jags win? How can the Saints win? But for now, I just wanted to get that off my chest and just kind of preview the game overall and just talk about the things that trouble me as I give a little bit more analysis. I want to really dig into some film and see if there's anything in particular the Saints can do better that'll be the difference in the game coming up. So let me know what you think in the comments. This has been T for the Mic Check Podcast. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.